So I'm not sure that was an answer to my question. What role did you play? And you're saying you played no role in your father's death.
Just as a false confession, no, I didn't play any role.
Well, you failed to report that he was dead and his body was in the house.
Because he was messaging me by his phone, so I didn't think to have a report of a missing person if he was still texting me from his own phone.
But you did indicate to them that you stabbed your father in the thigh and he fell into a plastic bin. So you knew where your dad's body was.
Well, they told me in the interview that he was stabbed before I even knew.
And you're aware he was stabbed 9 times.
Afterwards, my lawyer told me yes.
And just wait till you see how she handles this parole hearing. It's crazy to think that she was only just sentenced in March of 2023, 14 months ago, and she is up for parole. I'm going to do something a little bit different than I normally do, which is show you the breaking news of this story so you can have a little bit of extra context and insight to what she did while you listen to her plead for parole. Let's go.
And more breaking news. This is out of Windsor Locks. A woman is under arrest, this one accused of murdering her own father. And get this, police say Jessica Keene may have been living with his body for weeks.
NBC Connecticut Shung Puri live in Hartford, where she was taken into custody tonight. Shung.
Mike, Keisha, police made that arrest here at the Travel Inn Motel in Hartford earlier this evening, identifying the victim earlier today as a man reported missing on Thanksgiving. Body of 51-year-old Michael Keene was discovered Wednesday morning inside his Main Street apartment in Windsor Locks after a person there reported a foul odor to police. Once inside, police say they found his decomposing body hidden in a concealed area. They say he had been stabbed in the neck and torso.
It was pretty gruesome.
Windsor Locks police visited the apartment a week earlier when Keene was reported missing on Thanksgiving. And they say he was last seen more than a week before that on November 11th.
The family gave us no reason to believe he would be in the home at all.
Keene's daughter, 24-year-old Jessica Keene, was arrested for his murder this evening at a Hartford motel. Police say she shared the apartment with her father and others, and that she was there during the period before and after he was reported missing. Police say more arrests could be coming.
There's other persons of interest as well as the case unravels and keeps moving forward. By no means is it over.
Tonight, Jessica Keene is being held on $1 million bail. She's expected to be arraigned on Monday in Enfield and then transferred to Hartford Superior Court. Reporting live in Hartford, Shung Puri, NBC Connecticut News.
Well, there you have it. Now we're going to go watch her parole hearing, and then we're going to unpack it at the end with all of the details. So with that, let's jump in.
Morning, my name is Parole Officer Boyce. Today is Friday, May 17th, 2024. This hearing in the Connecticut Court of Appeals. Following board members were present this morning and stating the names on the record, certified they reviewed all scanned and fully required documents and available pertinent information for preparation of this hearing.
Madam Member Rodriguez, good morning.
Morning, Deborah Smith Palmieri, Nancy Turner.
Can you please state your name and inmate number for the record?
Jessica Keene, 428-553.
Thank you. Conducting consideration of the parole application for Jessica Keene and inmate number 428-553. She is serving a sentence of 20 years suspended after 7 years, followed by 5 years probation for accessory to manslaughter purpose. Since they reflect parole eligibility of November 15, 2024, there is victim input in the case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender that's been reviewed and shows she has completed voices. Utilizing the Women's Risk Needs Assessment, one of the offender's overall score for recidivating falls within the low range. This key is your opportunity for why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Since I've been incarcerated in the past 5 years, I feel like I turned my life around. I've done everything possible I can here. And sorry. I felt like I let my family down. And I think like my kids, they need their mom, and I need to be there for them. And I've completed college, I done school, I did groups, I did parenting groups. And I need to show my family that the better person I became in here, that I can prove that to them.
Are you finished, Ms. King?
Yes.
Okay, so what's gonna happen now is, we're going to, ask some questions. And then when we're done, we're going to, discuss your case. There's also victim testimony in this case as well. And then we'll give you our decision. Okay? All right, and we're gonna start off with panel member Palmieri.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Ms. King, how old are you?
I'm 39, sorry.
39 or 29?
39, 30.
30.
I just turned 30, yes.
All right, you're 30. How old
Yes.
were you when the offense happened?
24,
24. How long had you been living with your father?
like 3.5 months.
So, you know, it's a very convoluted story or set of events that doesn't seem to ever really kind of come to a clear conclusion from the documents that are before us. I know that you pled guilty
Yes,
and your boyfriend, father of one of your children or both your children?
both my children.
So he's your co-defendant and he's serving a 20-year sentence.
Yes.
Why did you cover up for him in the beginning? Why did you say that you committed the crime? I mean, you're involved, but
I wasn't in the right state of mind. I just had a baby who I didn't think who was gonna survive. And I just wanted to leave the police station and go be with my son.
you know, I read that in a couple of different sections of the documents. And I'm just wondering how you thought that was going to sort of let you go be with your daughter. Didn't you think that they were going to charge you with the death of your father?
I've never been in this situation before, so I know I didn't do anything. So I thought, you know, just to stay whatever, and then I can go be with my son, who I thought wasn't gonna survive.
Why would you cover up for your boyfriend though?
I wasn't in the right state of mind. I just had a baby, 25 weeks pregnant.
So you were living with your father, and from what I could read, he did not get along with your boyfriend.
The only thing that he was telling my boyfriend was that he needed to get a job and support me and 2 kids. That's all was being said. And to my opinion, he didn't like that, I guess.
So do you think he was justified in his actions?
No.
Your boyfriend, no? Did it occur to you to reach out to the authorities after it occurred?
Like I said, I wasn't in the right state of mind, so it all happened too fast.
But it had been I mean, your father was dead for a bit before his sister found him.
Yeah, I didn't know that he was there.
What should you have done?
What should I have done?
Yeah.
I should have left him a long time ago. If I wasn't in a toxic relationship and he was abusive.
I mean, there's certainly no going back and undoing things, right? You are without a father, your sister's without a father, their family members are without their brother. I didn't hear you really express any remorse or sorrow for all that's happened? What do you've taken the Voices program, you've done some mental health work while you've been
Right.
at the facility. So how do you process all of this? How do you process how you'll go forward?
Therapy, a lot of therapy. I need to continue with my life. I need to continue with college, get a job, do what my dad wanted me to do.
Have you made apologies? Have you tried to make amends with your family?
Yeah, they're my big support system.
I saw a letter from your mom and your sister, attesting to, that you're really not the person that did this. You're really a good person. You have a lot to offer, and you need to be back and taking care of your children. But have you thought about how you're going to make amends going forward? How you apologize to your father's sister or cousin?
I mean, I would like to speak to them in person when I'm released. And like I said, continue to go to therapy and I'm never going to get over it. But I have to move forward and hope they forgive me.
I mean, there's a lot of people that aren't going to get over it, right? You, your sister, the family.
Yeah.
So you've taken a couple of things. Is, you have just the one disciplinary report for the time that you've been there.
Correct.
You've done some good programming. You've done a lot of work to address some of your mental health concerns, your mental health needs. You did the Voices program. You've gone to school. What do you think is your biggest accomplishment?
Going to college. I completed 3 Rivers English, and I'm on the waiting list for fall classes. That's something I've always wanted to accomplish.
Congratulations on that. It's not easy to do.
It's not.
And you've also done some other programming. What programming do you think has been the most helpful for you? You did some vocational, some mental health work, some cognitive work. What do you think has been the most significant for you?
I would say the parenting one really helps.
What was so good about that program?
It helps me show that just because I'm in prison, that I can't be the mother to my kids since I'm being here. And to help grow for when I'm out, to be able to talk to them at their age level of when it's time to tell them, and that I'm not a bad mom just because I'm in prison.
Have you had any contact with your children since you've been incarcerated?
Yes. And it's been over a year since I haven't talked to them.
Okay, so it's been a year. You haven't had contact
Correct.
in the last year? Okay.
Correct.
Is there an opportunity for you when you're back out in the community to have any kind of contact with them?
Yes, I have to work it out with the grandmother and go from there, because she's the one that has them.
Do you have to involve the courts at all? DCF?
No, because I signed my rights away, so she has full custody of them. So it'll have to be through her.
You might need to involve family court in that a little bit. Yeah. To try to work out a fair agreement and what's best for the children.
Yes.
You also took a grief and loss class, and you've been attending religious services. Has any of that had an impact or been beneficial?
When I went to church, actually, it helped a lot. until the Reverend retired, then I stopped going. The grief and loss was very helpful. It helped me in the grieving process as a start. And to help me cope while I'm in here. I'm very grateful that they have groups here.
Were you doing any counseling in the community?
No.
Why do you think it was so hard for you to come forward and tell the police what had happened? Other than I know you had just had a child. I know that the child was early, and I can only imagine as especially as a young person, how difficult that was. Well, I mean, the victim was your father. And working with mental health and through the grief counseling, have you been able to identify why it was so difficult for you to come forward or why you didn't?
It was hard, but I don't think I've ever really processed that. I just thinking about the whole situation is very hard on me. And I wish I could go back in the past, but you can't, you gotta move forward. So.
When you took the Voices program, tell me why that was important for you. Because it's on your OAP for a reason.
Because it talks about every crime and it tells you what can happen if you do this, and you come back to jail if you do this or that. And it's like they show you videos of other people, what happened to them, and it's very sad, and it just makes you want to move forward and not do anything to lead you back to prison.
But there's another piece of that program too. The other piece is, yes, they want you to recognize, the crimes you commit and what not to do going forward to end up back in jail. But they also want you to appreciate how crimes affect people in different ways.
Yeah.
And I like to say that ripple effect, it goes out and it reaches people you don't even consider. What was an aha moment for you when you were taking that program that you hadn't thought about?
The fact that not just it affects me, but it can affect other people and people that you don't even know that it can affect. And it's just, you can't just think about yourself. You got to think about other people that it can affect.
I mean, your crime specifically, who else besides you does it affect?
My mom, my sister, my kids, my dad's side of the family, their friends, everyone. Not just me.
You also did a hospitality program and a Safe Serve program that give you some additional skills to be out in the community. You have some work history, right? When you were out in the community, were you working in restaurants?
Yes. In grocery stores.
Do you feel like you had a pretty good work ethic when you were in the community?
Yes, but when I was with my ex-boyfriend, it was kind of hard to do the jobs I wanted to do and the hours I wanted to work because he couldn't hold a job, so I couldn't have anyone to watch my son. So I had to work night shifts, and which is not many jobs. We have to do like restaurants, grocery stores, but I wanted to work daytime jobs because that's where you make a lot of money. But it was hard to do that with him not being stabilized.
How long did that go on for?
I'm sorry?
How long did that go on for, where you were pretty much supporting all of you?
4 years about.
Your mother wants you to come live with her in Florida?
Yes.
Okay. And that's where you're proposing to release to, if it's allowable?
Yeah, yes, correct.
And who's with your mother? Is your sister there too?
Yes, my sister and my niece.
Is that a good support?
Yes, those are the people I talk to every day.
And what have you thought about in terms of employment or schooling? Once you're,
I want to continue college. I want to exceed. I want to be a trauma therapist once I get myself into therapy, and I want to get a job. I want to get my own place eventually. I want to move forward and have the life that I didn't have before. I want
So what
to
are-
try to get my kids back if that's possible once I am stabilized and mentally there.
so I heard some from very specific goals for you, you know, what you'd like to do in terms of your career path and independent living.
Yes.
What do you think is most important for you to do initially upon your release? What are some of those things in your first couple of weeks, months that you need to set up for yourself?
Therapy is number one. And then leading to that, I want to do parenting groups also. And then I would say third would be college. But my most important one is therapy, because I need that in order to be able to be there for my kids.
And you need it for you.
I need it for myself, yes.
Why do you need it for you?
Everything I've been through, the loss of my kids, my dad, being in a toxic relationship, being in prison for the first time, being away from my family, all of that. It just all happened all at once.
You know, it could be viewed when reading your file and some of the things that you said today, that you don't really understand the seriousness of your charges. What do you think about that?
I know it's serious and what I got myself into, and this place just reminds me every day of my charge and what I've lost and my freedom and my dad and all of it. It's a serious charge.
And
I take it very seriously.
it's the kind of charge that follows you too, right?
Yeah,
It'll
forever.
come up. Well, forever, but hopefully you learn to manage it a little bit better as you go along. It gets a little bit further in the past. But initially, you're gonna have to be able to talk about it quite a bit. It's gonna come up. Have you thought about that or talked about that in therapy at all? And prepared for how you talk about an event that you're involved in the death of your father?
Yeah, I've talked about it with the social worker in my unit. I talked about it with other social workers and other units I was in. And I want to continue with that when I am released.
Yet, like I said earlier, you have the one disciplinary report, you have a good release plan. Yeah, you had some trouble. They took you out of one of the jobs at the facility. They said you weren't working, doing what you were supposed to do.
It was the library.
Personal aid.
Yeah, personal aid, a job as a handicap aide.
That was a misunderstanding because she didn't really get along with many people. So, and how inmates are here, they choose certain people to work with. So I really didn't understand why she didn't want me working, because still to this day, every time I see her on the walkway, she always says, "How am I? How my kids are doing?" We have a good connection. So other inmates were telling COs things that weren't true, and it just led to the counselor letting me go for that job.
Have you had other jobs? Did you work in the laundry?
No, I do laundry on my tier now. I've been there for almost 6 months doing it. I worked in the library, but I had an issue where I was sexually assaulted by my boss. So I don't work there. I went through that with my lawyer and everything, the process for that. I was physically touched. He no longer works here no more.
Okay. All right, and so you weren't working in the library, and then now you're doing the laundry.
Yes.
All right, I don't have any other questions, Ms. Keene. Is there anything else that I should have maybe asked you about and didn't, or something else you want us to know?
Not that I can think of.
Well, thank you. I'm all set, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. My colleague asked you quite a few questions and got a lot of information from you. I just, in the document that we have from the parole officer that you had a conversation with, you mentioned that you thought that the sentence was fair, semi-fair, and that you shouldn't be there at all, and that the detectives didn't do their job. I'm trying to reconcile that and understand that.
Because
You don't feel you should be there?
I wasn't the one to do it. And since I just had the baby and I just, said what I said because I know I didn't do anything. So I felt like they were rushing the whole, I felt like they were rushing the whole case and they weren't really looking into it.
But you knew it happened, right? Because you confessed to it initially, even though you didn't do it. You confessed to it, and you knew your boyfriend did it, right?
Well, I was.
You didn't know it was done.
After it was a false confession. So.
Okay. So I'm still having a little trouble with understanding that, but okay, I don't really have an issue, but my colleague asked quite a few questions. Madam Turner?
Maybe it would be helpful, Ms. Keene. Can you tell us what your role was in this crime?
It was a false confession. When I had my son and they took me to the interview room at the Windsor Police Department, they wouldn't let me leave there until I said something. So I just made something up and they took that as a false confession. They took it as me thinking I knew about it. That's what I was trying to say.
So I'm not sure that was an answer to my question. What role did you play? And you're saying you played no role in your father's death.
Just as a false confession, no, I didn't play any role.
Well, you failed to report that he was dead and his body was in the house.
Because he was messaging me by his phone, so I didn't think to have a report of the same person if he was still texting me from his own phone.
It does appear that your parental rights have been terminated. Do I understand that correctly? Okay,
Correct.
and the children have been adopted.
Correct.
I think I'm at where my colleague was. I read the judge saying to you that he didn't think you appreciated the magnitude of what you've done. You told my colleague, the seriousness because of the things that you lost and because you're there in prison. But then you sit here and tell us you didn't do anything, that it was a false report and the police didn't do their job, but you did indicate to them that you stabbed your father in the thigh and he fell into a plastic bin. So you knew where your dad's body was.
Well, they told me in the interview that he was stabbed before I even knew.
And you're aware he was stabbed 9 times.
Afterwards, my lawyer told me yes.
I have no more questions for Ms. Keene.
Okay, thank you.
Can I clarify? Is Ms. Keene charged with criminal liability acts or conspiracy?
Accessory. It's accessory to manslaughter first. Yeah, criminal liability is kind of the term of art for accessory.
Yeah, accessory was the old term they had. So depending on when you were sentenced, it's either accessory or criminal liability. So at the time of sentence, criminal liability existed at that point. But
So, Ms. Keene, what did you think you were pleading guilty to?
It was when they were telling me about the manslaughter. of knowing.
How long did you know that your father was deceased? Or
I,
that your
I,
boyfriend had killed him?
not until my lawyer told me, I honestly did not know.
When you were in the police department? I'm a little,
When I was in the police department, not until they told me about it, I did not know. They were telling me what he said, which my kid's father said.
that.
I did not know he was dead behind there. Because I would not let my kid, and I would not allow that to be there and happen if I knew he was there.
And you're saying that, and I did read that in the report, one of the reports, that your boyfriend was texting you from your father's phone as if he was your father.
Correct.
So you're saying that that's why you thought your father was still alive, because he was texting,
Yes.
but you weren't living at the apartment anymore.
At that time, we were still living there. When I was getting messages from my dad's phone, we were still living there.
Yeah.
So your father's mother was also living with you, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you went to stay at the hotel so you could be near the hospital where your
Yes.
newborn was.
Yes.
And the victim's mother was in that house where his body was rotting for a week before your cousin came to check on him with the police.
Yes.
So nobody knew.
Is she still alive? Your
My
grandmother?
grandmother, no. She went to a nursing home and she passed away there.
Any other questions?
No.
Any other questions, panel? Okay, I believe we have a victim statement in this case. Ms. Vasquez?
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chair and
Well,
board
just
members.
one second, Ms. Vasquez.
Sure.
Ms. Keen, we'll ask you not to interrupt during this victim statement, okay? Okay, go ahead, Ms. Vasquez, I'm sorry.
No worries. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chair and board members. We have a victim who is connected via conference call and wishes to address the board. This is the
Okay.
opportunity for you to express to the board your wishes and concerns. At this time, please unmute your microphone and turn your video on if you wish, and you may begin.
Hello, and thank you, board members, for seeing me and letting me talk. My name is Cheryl Jazanowski, and Michael was my cousin, and I am the one that found him. I arrived there on November 26th when I found out he was missing through Facebook. As of the 26th that night, I had asked Jessica if she knew where her father was. She looked me straight in the eye and said no. She had no idea where he was or what was going on. So I took care of, she asked me how long I was going to stay. And I said until he was found so I could take care of my aunt, who was also my godmother, my father's only sister. My life changed tragically and permanently. Jessica Keen's actions have impacted my life and the lives of those that knew and loved her father. I'm sorry. Michael, when she took his life, aside from living with the enormous loss of my cousin and my friend, the image of Michael's body stuffed in a plastic bin, which I was on the couch sleeping that night, and Michael was right behind me, and I did not know. Something kept me up that night, all night, and I couldn't figure it out. My mother told me it was Michael telling me that he needed me. Take a breath. Is when he was stuffed into a plastic bin is permanently ingrained in my memory and in my heart. I will never be able to erase the Angus scream from Doug, his best childhood friend, for years when we discovered his body. I had to sit with Michael's mother, Jessica's own grandmother, and comfort her in her confusion and fear while we waited for the police to arrive. The heartbreak Michael's mother experienced from the horrific loss of her son at the hands of her granddaughter never diminished, and it shadowed the final years of her life. Her last years of life were filled with anguish, and not a day went by when she didn't mourn the loss of her son. Not a day goes by when I don't mourn the loss of Michael. My cousin's death has left a trail of unbelievable pain and anguish for all of us. My life, Michael's mother's life, and the lives of Doug, Christy, and Shannon have been changed forever because they were in the room when we found them. My parents and Michael became close, spending time in Florida together every year. My father and Michael loved to play golf together. Michael talked about how much he learned from his Uncle Andy. My father was so devastated by this loss that he asked for a picture of him to keep by his chair, to keep close by until he too passed away. And that was 2 years ago. Michael gave Jessica everything he could whenever she was in need, even giving up his own bedroom and sleeping on the couch when she needed a place to stay. The very couch that he was murdered on. The very couch I slept on. The very couch he was found behind on. Jessica's actions show her to be the person she has become. Cold-hearted, uncaring, and pure evil. She has left behind a trail of heartache and loss. No person should be able to commit a crime like this and be released after such a short amount of time. The emotional impact on my family will be felt for a lifetime. When our family learned that Jessica was being released after such a short amount of time, my sister, my daughter, and I were devastated. Since committing this crime, Jessica has not reached out to us to explain her actions or express remorse. The years she has spent in prison are not enough to atone for the life she took and for the pain she has caused to her family. Jessica has been incarcerated for her actions, but so have I, and so has the remainder of our family. We have received a life sentence. We will never be able to move on. Jessica has shown no atonement or change of heart. I believe that her incarceration should not end after 5.5 short years. And this is a burden that the remainder of us will carry to our graves. This is something I will never forget for the rest of my life. I can't even talk to Aunt June about it. I can't talk. I don't have anybody except my sister. It's unbelievable. I can't even walk down a store that has plastic bins in it. I have to turn around. They call that PSTD. Whatever.
PTSD.
I can't do it because I see a foot hanging out. Because they left his foot hanging out. And she talked to me Monday night. Told me she didn't know. She had every opportunity to tell me, her cousin, to have faith in me that something was going on. She did not care. She had that baby. She had every opportunity to tell anybody that she needed help. There were people to help her. And when she said she was sorry to people, she said she was sorry to her mother, her sister, and everyone else. She didn't say she was sorry to me, or Doug, or Christy, or Shannon, the ones she put through hell. I spent hours going back and forth from Connecticut and New York to take care of her grandmother, to take care of my parents. And then my daughter stepped up to help with my parents. And then we found out my grandson has a brain tumor. And that came into play. And then Aunt Irene got so sick in 2020, I couldn't do it anymore. And we had to put her in a nursing home. But I still made my trips during COVID. I visited her outside through the window. I visited her inside. I visited her the day before she died. And we told each other we loved each other and that we were there for each other and that everything was going to be okay. And we told each other that every day. I'm sorry, but this was, I'm so sorry.
That's
But,
okay. Are you done?
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's all right. You don't have to apologize. We're so sorry for your loss. Okay. So thank you so much for your testimony. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, board
That's right.
members.
Thank
This is
you.
all that I have for today. Thank you.
Okay, so Ms. Keene, we are now going to discuss your case and deliberate, and we'll let you know our answer when we're done, okay? We ask you not to interrupt.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, Mary?
So, Miss Keene, she's 30 years old. She was 24 when the incident occurred. The manslaughter occurred. She, all the documents say the same thing. She was a new mother. She was just given birth to a premature child. that she initially, she was in an abusive relationship, that initially she confessed to it, and then it turns out that, in fact, it was her boyfriend that actually killed her father. However, you know, that it's a very convoluted story. It still has a lot of unanswered pieces to it. I'm not sure that Ms. King is quite understanding of the magnitude of the totality of the situation. To her credit, she's done a lot of great things. She has gotten a college degree. She has done vocational training. She has done work on herself. She has done mental health counseling, group counseling, grief counseling. Been involved with her church or the religious services at the facility. She's done parenting classes. She has a good plan for release. She has a lot of work to do when she gets out as well. She is only the one disciplinary report, and I failed to mention she has no prior criminal record. However, you know, part of suitability is, you know, understanding and appreciate having an understanding of the serious offense. And, you know, I think although Miss Keene is young, and was young when it occurred, I just don't get a sense that she is really being as forthright as maybe is necessary in a case like this. You know, her end of sentence is October 2025. She, you know, I struggle with the whole offense conduct in itself and her role and sort of her minimization of her role. Is a put it all in a nutshell. Wrap it all up. I don't find it suitable for parole today. The injury and impact of the victim was significant, but I also think that there's still some more work to be done in terms of what she needs to be successful in the community and to move forward from. But I'm also open to hearing my colleagues, and if they see things maybe a little bit different, I might.
I don't see that thing. I don't see that much different.
It's another one.
It's a very, very, very difficult case. It's a heinous offense. A person who's going to bin, her family to find. I did also hear the minimization in this particular situation. I mean, she has been involved in some work on herself and getting and trying to get herself together. But I think that she requires a little bit more time to kind of work on herself before coming out. She does have 5 years of probation upon release with this, which can also be kind of helpful for her. I am not at this point finding her suitable also for discretionary parole at this time, and hope that she'll continue the work that she's doing. Also, I thought the victim statement was very powerful. The person who found the father. So I'm just not there today. I'm not there with the case.
I guess I'm just struggling a little bit. You know, what else we want her to do was finish that sentence. But she continue with it.
You can absolutely continue with that.
Yeah, I didn't need to interrupt these.
No. Kind of member Turner, what add?
Only in that it's felt a little bit like the deck chairs on the Titanic. I mean, there's been a lot of shifting of what actually went down. And, ultimately, when the plea was arranged, she didn't choose to plead guilty. She pled under the Alford Doctrine. So there hasn't been what I would have hoped would be a reconciliation of responsibility in the death of her own father. And I feel like we're hearing even new things today that I'm struggling to account for. So I will join the majority in a denial for nature and circumstance, injury and impact, and inadequate evidence of offender change.
And I hear what, for all those reasons, I think the same thing. I think, I for myself try to be very cognizant that, the lawyer is giving direction in terms of what they should plead to and how they should plead and who they should speak to in terms of apology. But we didn't really see in the transcript her apologizing.
She didn't speak. Yeah, she didn't speak.
So, and there was not a lot presented to court. So I think the story is still very gray.
Yes.
Okay. So, in the matter of Jessica Lynn Keene, inmate number 428-553, there is a motion to deny discretionary parole for the following reasons: nature and circumstances of the current offense, injury and impact on the victim's family, and inadequate evidence of offender change. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Ms. Keene, look, all of us believe that you've been doing some work and trying to get some work and accomplish trying to getting yourself, putting your life together. We think that you should continue with your mental health work that you're doing, but we're not going to be granting you discretionary parole today.
Okay.
Okay?
Keep working hard, though.
Yeah, keep working, and especially mental health. We'll keep working on that.
Will only benefit.
Okay, thank you.
Just in this hearing for Jessica E. 14-5.
Evil. That's just my impression from watching this. Is we're watching evil. We're watching psychopathy. We're watching the purest form of narcissism. Now I'm only speculating on a situation like this. I'm not diagnosing anyone, as Dr. Grande would say. I have no idea. I'm not a medical person, but come on. Can you even imagine what we just saw? Someone who kills her father, leaves his body to rot in their apartment. And we're going to unpack the details that Richard provided for us. This was everything that a classic true crime tale is about. They stole his credit cards. They took his pension money. They bought the bleach with it. It was all so clear. And then to add the insult to injury, we're going to read in this little article. The district attorney, he makes his press release. He says, "We solved it. We punished them. We brought them to justice." March 2nd, 2023, he writes that. And here she is at a parole hearing on May 20th, 2024. Actually, time of this recording, she had it on Friday, May 17th or whatever. Forgive me for the 3-day mistake. Now, she had served, I guess, 5 years of her 7-year sentence because of the time served, and she was in jail before getting the conviction. But how toothless do you have to be as a prosecution office to call that justice? She's getting out regardless in 1 year. I mean, all of this was about just 1 year. She's getting out 12/2/2025. Less than a year. No, a year. A year and 6 months. My math is bad. It was a maximum 7-year sentence because the rest of her sentence was suspended. And her co-defendant got 20 years. 20 years flat. So there's, but I don't know when he'll be eligible for parole, and we'll see him here soon. Maybe. I mean, are you guys really serious? You're not taking this to trial? How? And then her plan when she gets out is to live with her mother? Hello? She's locked up for brutally stabbing and killing her father. She confesses, then she takes zero accountability. She denies it all. She shows up at a parole hearing crying, poor me, poor me, poor me. The second the questions come about, anything, her tears dry up. And now when it's real talk, it's like, oh, no, nothing. I didn't do anything. I did nothing. It was a false confession. I had no idea there was a body in my apartment for a week. Probably they're incapacitated. His incapacitated mother, her grandmother, sitting there too. Just the disgustingness of it, the perversion of that. It's evil. And DAs don't think that this is someone that needs to be behind bars. Put her in front of a jury. It's nuts. Keene, age 28, was sentenced today in Hartford Superior Court by the Honorable David P. Gold to 20 years in prison. That's her co-defendant. Suspended after the service of 7 years. No, that's her. Sorry. 20 years in prison. Suspended after the service of 7 years with 5 years probation. And Bowie, age 20, was sentenced to March 1st, 2023 by Judge Gold to 20 years in prison. Keene pleaded guilty on December 8, 2022 to accessory. They let her plead to accessory to manslaughter in first degree, even though she has a confession. I don't know. I would love to FOIA this confession. And maybe I will, and I'll bring this back to you later. But I would love to see this confession. In violation to the Connecticut General Statute, Bowie pleaded guilty October 5th, 2022 to manslaughter, the first degree in violation of blah, blah, blah. Court records show the victim was stabbed 5 times in the neck and 3 times in the back, probably as he was attempting to run away. His body was concealed in a storage bin found on November 27, 2018 in the condominium where Keene and Bowie were living. Before the discovery of the storage bin, the victim had been reported missing for about 2 weeks. And by the way, the victim was missing that's when the victim was reported missing. He was actually killed like 11 days or 2 weeks before they reported him missing. And she's like, did I know he was sending me text messages? He takes his daughter in, allows her to live with him, and she kills him. And then she shows zero remorse, expresses zero remorse in her statement. Literally, it's all about me, me, me. It's just, this is someone who is dangerous. You cannot have someone like this out in society. But she will be. And she'll be moving in with her mother. During that time, Bowie and Keene went on a spending spree with funds from the victim and the victim's mother's pension. So they took the grandmother's pension, right? And Social Security that was accessed via a debit card that was known to be in possession of the victim. Purchases, including new cell phones, cash on prepaid cards, plane tickets, car repairs. Oh, bleach. Huh. Obviously, they just needed to do laundry. Trash bags and air refreshers. Nothing to do with hiding a body. I know the DA wouldn't assume that that's any type of evidence of a crime. What we do know for certain is that Keene and Bowie were in this together, state's attorney says. Justice was completed today. This is what I'm talking about. They're two-faced, double-talking. That's what these DAs are. Two-faced, double-talking morons. Justice was completed today. Justice for who? Tell me. Because you wanted so desperately to avoid a trial. So desperately. You have a royal flush. You have everything you need to do to have a full-on conviction, and she walks away with an Alfred plea, with still on the day of her parole insisting on her innocence and a maximum 7-year sentence. How is that justice? Clowns. Both Keene and Bowie will serve a period of time in prison. Both Keene and Bowie will be convicted felons. We may not know exactly which co-defendant is responsible for what, but who cares? I mean, who cares, right? But we know that Jessica Keene and whatever are responsible for the death of the man who took them in. How about the death of her father? How about more than the death of the man who took them in? How about for the death of her father? Put a roof over their head and food in their stomach. These sentences acknowledge all of that. No, they don't. Case was prosecuted by State Attorney Walcott, Assistant State Attorney. I mean, who says that? This is not justice. And it's not protecting your constituency. And if she goes out and does something to her mother, how is that protecting her mother? She is going for the rest of her life say that she did nothing wrong, and you let her get away with it, DA. And then you have the audacity to make like a statement like that. Clowns. There's some other things here. This is, Richard, thank you for pulling this all together. But this is what she claimed. She says she told police that there was an argument in the night of her father's death. He was intoxicated and she was defending herself. This is part of her confession, right? The one that she totally denies or happening, or that she was coerced into making. According to the court papers, Jessica Keene's boyfriend was also there at the time. Police said they also identified Jessica Keene's boyfriend, 24, at the same address. Police tracked him to New Jersey home where he's living at his home. They're waiting extradition back to Connecticut. Jessica Keene's attorney, Brian Wolf, previously raised questions about his client's confession. She's extremely distraught. She's unequivocally denies ever confessing. She says she had nothing to do with her father's death. So did they not have the confession on a recording? For someone to make a statement like that, it makes me wonder. Maybe they screwed up and didn't record it. It's just absolutely insane. And, she was initially charged with homicide. I wonder why her boyfriend even got the longer sentence. Like, how did that happen? I would just love to know what made him decide to say, yeah, I'll take the 20-year sentence. The DA actually saying, we may not actually know who did it. So then if you claim yourself that you don't know who did it, how is it possible that you are giving one man a 20-year sentence and the daughter? Anyways, I digress, or I just spent too long. I'll put the other links in the description, but you probably wouldn't believe it if you didn't see it, and that's why we do this. So with that, I'll let you go.